Okay, we're back. Sheila, you want to take us through, what are you going to start first? IT?
Yes, information technologies. And Tony is here to help me when I can't answer a technical question. But this budget has a slight increase in it compared to last year. Actually, the bottom line is up of 17.92%. But there are some areas here that are just very important that we at least request. But we can start from the top. Salaries are the same because the GEA contract, as you know, is in negotiation. The townwide area network services is about the same as last year. We are now settled in with our new fiber network, and so there's no change there. Software licensing and support is basically, half of it is the Munis hosting services, and there's a page that details all the different modules and how much that costs us. It's an expensive program, and then we split it with the Board of Ed. So half of it is theirs, with the exception of the permitting module that's used at Town Hall South. That's 100% paid for by the town. The rest of the licenses are generally the same as you've seen before. The Vermont systems for Rec Track is paid by Park and Rec. We've kind of negotiated with them to let them pay for some of that because most of it is used for their programs. We have added $12,000 for the AirWatch, which is the software that's used for the security and the deployment of the content. Is the content
for mobile devices?
For the mobile devices, yeah, that we're now.
Could be any mobile device.
We are testing it out right now, where all of our meeting packets and budget packets can be put on to an iPad. So we think we're going to have success with that. We're using it actually right now for this meeting. Some of us are, and it's working out well.
Sheila, is that a one-time fee?
That is.
Or is it an annual licensing?
Annual. After that.
The $12,000 is not the annual fee, so that's the one-time fee, and then there's.
It's usually 20% of the purchase.
I think it's the $26.39.
Pretty close.
Top in the quote.
The other real changes in education and technical support, and we really have the need for additional training. This budget covers other departments as well. We added $9,600 for what Munis calls investment assessment. There's a little section describing what the investment assessment entails, but basically, even in the finance department, we've been using Munis for 15 years. We consider ourselves very, very advanced users of Munis. However, the software has changed dramatically, so we may not be doing things the most efficient way, and they've recommended that they send down their implementation specialists and kind of review how we do what we do, not just in finance, but in other departments as well. That would go for Town Hall South with the new billing and permits, central billing and permits module. And we think that will help us just be more efficient and provide better management reporting for you.
Does that include Board of Ed also, or is that
No.
separate?
That's the Board of Ed.
They would carry their own?
Yes, and they've had much bigger Munis training budgets than we've had in the past, yeah.
Sure.
And there are things that we want to do with Munis as well, new initiatives that we want to take that we're going to need training for.
On the training, they're going to, we've had I should say, we didn't have a really outstanding experience in Town Hall South. You're well aware of that.
Yes.
So what you provided here, are we going to get better training than we've experienced in the past? There's 9,600, I think I saw here.
Right. Well, I actually just got a response from Munis, and we are going to get 2 free days of training to compensate for what I considered less than
Inadequate, I would say,
adequate.
yeah.
So and it's about $1,200 to $1,500 a day is the value of it, one day of training. So we're gonna get 2 days free. And I made it clear that we cannot have, subpar training, that we've spent a lot of money on this software. This is a 3-year contract, and it's, it's 40,000 times 2, and then 3 years. So we need to have top quality, and I think they know that. So.
Okay.
Any questions?
I had a couple of questions. On your software, one of the towns that we were often compared to down in Fairfield County had a significant issue with Microsoft licensing. Are we using Microsoft products embedded?
Like Office?
Yes, the Office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy them per computer.
It's per cal?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Because
They had an issue with like an open license type of thing?
yeah, I think they might have been enterprise and they weren't reporting what they did, and it cost them like $1.2 million and fine. Yeah,
No.
okay.
I'm doing that.
So we're doing it as we buy devices, so we do not use an enterprise
I
license.
don't think we're big enough to do like an enterprise.
Enterprise, okay.
So they weren't paying for the license?
They were under-reporting. Microsoft has this true-up process where everybody who accesses any of the programs is supposed to have a license fee associated with it. They had misrepresented how many they,
Really?
yeah, it cost them, like, the IT director lost his job down in there, over it, but, and
Sure.
it was like $1.2 million they had to come up with.
Wow. No, we're up and up here. We're fine.
No, I just wanted to know how we
Yeah,
did it, 'cause I didn't
software
see,
like checks
I did
in
not
and-
see it, and
Okay,
Microsoft,
safest way to
Microsoft
do
is
it.
not very forgiving
Per
on the,
piece.
on the.
We don't
changed that a long
use
time.
business
Yeah.
license.
Right. The other question was, I see you're adding one computer, one new device, one desktop device or something, is that what I saw?
No, we actually have $5,000 in for 5 new computers.
It's 5
part
new
of our
ones? Okay.
replacement
And
program.
I
Ten, you
appreciate,
mean?
Up-
Oh, that's in capital though, right?
And 5 in this.
No, there's 5,000, which
5
is
in.
about 5 new computers.
Just to quick, the summary page on the Munis hosting agreement, the $230,000. Does that include Board of Ed, or where, I'm confused on which number was,
If
we
you
have to
take,
double up, or is it in here and we transfer it out to Board of Ed?
the 230,000 is what I referred to before as the 3-year contract,
Right,
and you
right.
divide that by
By
3
three,
years,
yeah, it
and
gets
then
you
in
to
half.
76,
It's
yeah.
about half,
Okay, so this 76 is half Board of Ed and half town then?
yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
You have replacement PCs for 10,800 in capital.
in capital.
Yeah.
Actually, I think there's a mistake.
We doubled up then, or what?
No, this additional PC for the citizen portal,
Oh, that, right.
that could get removed.
Okay, that's good. Where's that, Tony?
Computer hardware.
$1,000 done. Third page,
Oh, I don't.
that says tab, but it's down near the bottom.
It's not there,
Actually, it's not
actually.
there.
It's not,
Yeah,
it's
it's out.
not
Zero-
there,
it's out.
I'm sorry, I
Zero
was,
down.
the hardware peripherals is the $5,000, and that's just miscellaneous as needed, and we'd like to keep that
Okay.
in the budget.
And again, on the capital budget, how many PCs is that? 10?
On the 10,000 it's about
10.
Should
roughly
be 10.
$1,000. a
Should be
piece.
10 pieces.
All right, and our asset replacement for PCs, what's the life expectancy traditionally?
There's actually a list of all of
I
our.
saw those.
Yeah,
I
and
saw
some of them
those.
are very old.
That's why I'm asking.
And we can't replace them fast enough because
Right.
we don't have the staff to deploy them and configure them that fast.
Like mine is
Yeah, if
12
I
years
get like
old.
20 of them,
Right.
Seriously?
I'm running.
That's all you're gonna do for the next month, a couple of months. Begs the question, the longer term stuff, the study that we had engaged in with Bloom Shapiro, recommendations, actions, obviously not for this budget cycle.
Well, we hope-
Yes, it is.
It is, okay.
We haven't come to a final conclusion yet.
Okay.
We will be there shortly.
Right.
Just for those in the viewing audience and any board members who aren't familiar with it, the town engaged Bloom Shapiro, our auditor, to look at information systems as a whole for the community. That would include Board of Education, town side, and police department, all of which will have various IT staffs or entities to look to see what kind of consolidation and what kind of economies of scale could come of it. And there is a recommendation that will be forthcoming shortly. And I think you heard from the Chief Hutchinson that they had replaced the sworn officer who was doing IT work, and some of that budget money did not get reallocated. All of that budget money did not get reallocated. Potentially, it would be reallocated for whatever new IT structure gets implemented. Joe, am I speaking out of turn?
No, you're right.
Okay.
Go ahead. That's right.
All right.
We have not come to a
Final decision.
decision yet.
Okay. And the idea is designed to take advantage of the various pockets of expertise and talent around the community, provide backup for those. We have one IT resource for the town, spread pretty thin, yeah, with the exception of the police department, who does their own thing.
And fire.
And fire, that's right, fire does their own as well, so.
And the upshot of the whole study is to share services with Board of Ed,
Right.
police, fire, and town. And that's the bottom line.
Right,
And
because
how
we do let Tony go on vacation once in a while, so somebody's got to be able to.
Barely.
we unshackle them once in a while.
I had to go on a cruise.
So, with no cell coverage? Got it.
I think, Tony, do you want to talk about Tyler Content Management really quickly?
We currently use, they call it TCM. Everything is archived digitally.
Right.
But with Town Hall South, the building department going on Munis, and all their maps and permits and everything they want to get digitized, this software would be for the citizens to replace the microfilm, the old microfilm that they have. So they would come in, they would get on the computer, log into TCM, self-service,
Right.
and then they could bring up their permits or the building, the maps, all that. That's
Is
what
it-
this is for. It's not in there.
Is there a module or is there a
It's
capability that allows for public access outside of that PC
No, the
sitting
way-
in it's not web
It's
enabled?
web-based, but right now, it's only gonna be for those two.
Is there an
portals.
opportunity for us to make that available?
Yes.
Via the web for folks?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's phase 2 of this project. That's good. That just,
I don't think they want it just yet, so.
We're still in the infancy phase.
that makes sense. Roll it out in stages.
There's a line item, I believe, for, I want to say $220,000 to.
It's 100,
120,000?
120.
Yeah.
It's in the capital
To
budget.
feed that in there, okay,
Okay. That might not last.
okay.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like it might not be quite ready yet anyway.
Not ready for prime time. Great. Thank you, Tony.
Okay, anything else on IT?
No, I-
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Okay, Sheila, what's next?
Well, do finance now?
Do finance, yeah.
The biggest change in finance right now is, again, in education and training. And it goes without saying, we need training in areas that have really been, ignored over the past several years for Munis. There's some modules that we want to take advantage of, purchasing distributed to the departments and requisitions online. That's something that, we want to work with in conjunction with purchasing, and we're going to need training for that. And there's some human resource training also that kind of overlaps to finance with payroll. So there's some things that we just want to utilize the system, and this is something that Bloom Shapiro did note in their report, is that we're really not utilizing the capability of our investment in Munis. So that's, that basically covers $4,000, and really it's not even 3 days of training, it's about 3 days of
How is that training conducted? Is it done here on site, so it's group training? Or
Yes.
it is, so
Yeah.
multiple individuals will be trained during that session?
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions on finance department? Okay. Why don't we talk about debt service then? That's what we-
Yeah, debt service is, I have some handouts on debt service. Just bear with me for a moment. A lot of. But I guess I could talk while we're handing this out. So if you look at the summary in the front of the book, we've separated the debt service budget from the town budget.
That's fine.
Just one of these, or just a whole packet?
Whole packet,
You
yeah.
keep the whole packet.
You have more?
We need one more.
One more?
We're good over here, I think.
This, we're trying,
You got yours?
oh, they are good enough.
I got one.
It's updated.
I have anyone.
It's updated, yeah.
You, what's that?
That's my son.
No, there's a whole packet of information.
Okay, well, I passed two out there, so I don't know.
Oh.
That's fine, I'll get it later, it's okay.
The debt service right now is in a state of motion
Flux.
because of several reasons. One, it's high right now, which we anticipated because of the new Guilford High School construction bonds, which we've now bonded 2 out of 4 of the anticipated bonds. And there's several schedules here that I think you've been asking for that most likely would answer some of your questions, and I have others as well that I will give you later on. The debt retirement principal is increased by $1,825,000, or 53%. And the interest is increased by $633,818, or 30.6% over last year. Of the total increase is about 2.5 million. About 3.8 million is related to Guilford High School. Now, if you take a look at the schedule that shows actual and projected, we're halfway through what we projected for bond issues, as I said before. And the total cost should be about 84.8 million, 84.9 million, which is quite a reduction from the original projection in 2011, which was 107 million.
Right.
So I think you've asked for these comparisons. I hope these are clear.
So, we have 22.5 million of bonding left to do on the high school, is that correct?
Yes, we anticipate one issue of 15.2 in this August of 16, and then 7.3 is the tail at the end of the very end of the project.
So in another sheet of paper I have from August, maybe it's been updated, it showed of the 92 million estimate for the project, that we only had 12.5 million left that was authorized but unissued.
And I do have that schedule as well, and that's correct.
So that number's incorrect then, or how did we come up with another $3 million?
No, because what the 12 million accounts for is all of the grant money coming in. So that is a little bit misleading in terms of actual amounts to bond. We have bonded for $26,015,085. Those are set. There's bands that are also outstanding, but that does not fall into the authorized and unissued. If you look in the column projected grants and bonds, it shows the full amount of Guilford High School.
Which sheet is that,
Which
Sheila?
page
I'm
do I
sorry.
want?
Sheila, which sheet is that you're looking at?
All right, you may not have that one. The authorized and unissued accounts for the full amount of grants being received from the state, which is it's over $20 million. Unfortunately, it didn't print out. That's what happened here. but I'll get that for you.
So the 12 doesn't include, so we bond knowing that we're still going to get some money back from the state, is that it?
You only bond for our portion.
So is that, so, I'm sorry, I'm still confused. So is that number 15 now, or 12, the 12 and a half then?
What is left to bond is the $12 million, is the two bond issues of 7.3 and
15.2?
7.3 and 15.2 are the two bond issues that are left.
7.3 and
There's a
15.2,
page.
okay.
Okay, so I'm sorry I missed you then. So that's 22, but the authorized but unissued is only 12.
Because just look at, we have a $92.2 million authorization. We're gonna bond $63,630,000.
This sheet, Kennedy, yeah, that's what you're gonna
That's what you
look
need to look at.
Which one you got there?
I have 65. Is this wrong?
This is not, this is,
I see the 63, projected total, okay.
That's what you gotta look at.
Okay, so the projected total, so that means that the 79
the
million.
79 million includes the grants.
Includes the grants.
All of the grants from the state, okay?
So we hadn't actually bonded 79 million
No.
then. So that's misleading there, which means that the authorized but unissued number really should have been higher, should it not have?
This is the way that this schedule is
Okay.
by state guidelines. This is the way it appears in the audit report. This is the right way to do this.
Okay.
I want you to look at our plan. Our plan
Okay,
is,
I'm looking at the plan.
the plan is correct. So if you go to the following sheet, which is kind of in green and brown and with a yellow highlight through it, those are the projections with all of our town and school other projects combined.
Why don't you hold up the sheet so they know which ones they're looking at? There you go.
Existing proposed and yield receipts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have our existing debt, which is basically the same, almost the same as it was in 2011 or less, because we've retired quite a bit of debt since then. And we have the bonds that we've already issued, which are on the other page, the first two. And then the projected would be the 3 and 4,
Yet to be bonded, okay?
yet to be bonded. And then we have no interest for town projects, because on this high school project, we're capitalizing the interest cost. And then we have, for fiscal year 17, we're projecting a $200,000 amount to help offset the debt service, and that amount is in reserve for debt service in fund balance. So, but getting back to my original statement about this being in a state of flux right now, there's a couple of things that I'm looking at to help reduce this budget. The first thing is, we've received bid premiums, and we're gonna allocate, they're meant to reduce debt service, they're meant to help, offset the cost, but I'd like to front load that a little bit in times when the debt service is higher. So going back to your schedule, the yellow highlighted,
The 3-year spread.
the next 3 years are gonna be more challenging, so that's where I'd like to apply some of those premiums. We have about $1 million in premiums that we can apply and offset. We wanna make sure that that's done correctly and that we're in compliance with all the bonding regulations, and so we're looking into that with bond counsel and with our accountants, with Lynn Shapiro. We also have now an opportunity for refunding 3 of our bond issues from 2008 and 2010. One of them is actually a refunding on a refunding.
Okay.
I did get some preliminary savings numbers from Piper Jaffray. They are an investment bank that we've used before, and of course, the market is very volatile right now, so the numbers are subject to change, but we may have $700,000 or $800,000 in additional savings. When I
To be spread over the same window.
And again, I've asked Piper Jaffray to take a look at our challenges here, our existing debt structure that we have now, and our high school debt that we plan to issue. And we've kind of got another structure that front loads the savings over 3 years.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think, Sheila and I talked about this yesterday, and it's tantalizing to take the lion's share this year, but we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot next year, and we'd be in the same position without the opportunity to refund. So all we're doing, to use a cliche, is kicking the can down the road. So she gave me a couple of scenarios, and one would be what I just said. The second one would be to spread it out over a couple of years. And I would propose, and that's why we're having a selectmen's meeting on Monday, one of the reasons, there are several items on the agenda. The second reason is to authorize refunding. And I would suggest, we haven't got the final numbers yet, so we're just throwing this out on the table, would be to spread it over a couple of years. So we're not taking all the benefits with the 2017 budget, and then we have to worry about the next couple of years. So that's gonna be my proposal once we get the numbers in. We don't know what they are yet. Well, we got some preliminary. Be about a $300,000 savings in the 2017 budget. And
On the
then-
refunding,
On refunding.
in addition to the $1 million premiums that we're gonna be able to spread.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
spread those probably
Yeah.
over a 3-year period as well, so, you know, we won't see $1 million in fiscal 17, but it should be spread over.
Right.
Well, your increases are basically 50%, 25%, 25%.
Exactly.
Would you look to spread the premiums similarly?
Yes, yeah.
So.
So
this
$500,000 plus a potential another 200,000 could drop that number down to 1.7.
Well, that's what we're exactly.
Well, the 200, I think you already taken into consideration.
The 200 was put in last year in reserve. We're also using 200 this year as well.
Right.
If we have a good year in 16, and there's also some of the refunding savings that will hit 16, about 75,000.
Right.
We may be able to save some of the 200 that we allocated that's in committed fund balance for debt service for
Right.
17. So we have to be a little bit analytical with the way we finally present this to the Board of Finance.
That's fine.
So
But
This is-
we haven't done anything yet.
This is a worst-case scenario.
these numbers, I think, assume that for a referendum this year,
There is no referendum.
the town, there's
Except for
nothing.
the budget.
That's what, except for the budgets.
Except for the
Okay, so there's not the $2.5 million in capital then, but that's getting rolled the next year then. And the Board of Ed is coming in with $8 million for special capital, to be approved at referendum by the voters.
Not
What's
that I'm aware
what's
of.
bid into here?
No, there's no capital referendum this year.
So-
Nothing
Yeah.
yet, so
Are you
that's an add to this.
Well, they're not bringing anything to us.
No, but going forward though, what's the assumption you use
I
for the
have
following?
$21 million of debt service for town and school projects that are authorized but unissued, and that's. what we
Through
projected.
when?
Well, I can only project what
So
what we have right now.
so it doesn't include.
Those have been
It's
approved.
authorized but unissued.
It
Those
does. She's
those have
got-
been
she
approved at
accounts for it.
referendum already.
Yeah, I'm talking
But
about
we
what they're
haven't
coming.
borrowed on those.
What's
So we're not
coming up?
anticipating what's
You're talking
coming
about
up in
what's coming
these
up.
numbers, that's
No,
what I'm saying.
We haven't seen those numbers yet.
Okay. This is low then going.
But what happens is you see that in fiscal year 20, there starts to be a drop off in debt service, and that's where you would structure any new debt to fill in those spots.
No, I appreciate that. But
Again,
obviously, if you've got a little wiggle room with regard to your $1 million, you want to use it at a time when you anticipate optically it's best.
the objective has always been to keep the debt service as level as possible throughout as many years as we have, yeah. As many years as we have to fund the high school, and that's 20 years. Now, we all knew this spike was coming.
Exactly.
It's no big secret. In 2011, when the referendum was approved, that was the projection. And it was at a much steeper spike than reality is showing us because of the interest rates.
Right, and you do have the comparison between
Yeah.
the
2011
2011
and-
and projected for
and current.
16.
So we don't have any other information yet because we haven't got the information back from our financial consultant and from the bond council yet. So, and we'll have that for Monday.
So, just so that I understand, the document we have here reflects a transfer of 200,000 from fund balance?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a law. And that was something that we had decided last year. Okay.
Understood, understood.
It's nothing new.
I guess the question I have here, this doesn't show what we are actually spending because it's another $200,000 higher than what is here?
I started, again, we're, in draft state at this point,
Yep,
but you can
yep.
see where I netted out the big premium on the bands.
I saw that.
And I think that's a better way to show it, and that goes to your
So
question.
that's the 200.
No, that's not the 200.
I know,
the
but that's
200.
roughly the same.
Yes.
That's why you did that.
I'm gonna do that again for the actual 200. That's, the 200 that you see was bid premium on bands, not on bonds. that
Gotcha.
I have. This is different.
Okay,
The GEO bonds for I think it's the 8, 14, 15 bonds were, the 200,000 is netted there.
Okay.
So I'm gonna gross that up and then show you the 200,000.
Thank
So
you.
you can see that.
thank you.
A lot of 200,000 numbers.
It's a familiar
They're all
number,
different.
that's right.
Now that's as clear as mud.
It is.
So let me go a step further. Assuming things work out as we're anticipating, this number could potentially be reduced from what we're looking at today of about $2.45 million increase, could be offset by up to maybe $500,000 from premiums and an additional 200 from refunding. So this number then drops to about 1.75.
I think that's,
Sounds about right.
right.
Sounds about right.
Or,
Sounds
that
about
sounds
right.
almost like a best case, but
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, which,
I mean, it's not a tremendously reduction,
oh, it's significant.
but it'll help. Okay.
It basically, from a mill rate perspective,
Yeah,
it's a quarter of a mill.
that's correct. But when you're looking at a mill increase just on the debt service.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a quarter of a mill debt, reduction as it relates to just debt service.
That's right. And like I
That's
said,
significant.
about a month ago, we're looking at a mill increase
Yeah.
just on debt service.
Just on debt service.
Yeah.
So we're well below that.
And we haven't seen the grand list yet either.
Yeah, well, grand list is for argument's sake, is about 3, it's, what is it, 3 billion, whatever the number is.
We'll see.
Yeah,
No,
it's 3, yeah, 2.993, so, 25 on 3 is about 80%, it's a 0.8, so this is gonna take it down significantly.
The one thing is that we have seen significant savings because of the interest rates.
Right.
We projected the 4%, and we're 2.7 and 2.9 and
Right,
under
right.
3.
But we've reallocated over 20 years, not 30 years.
That's
But
correct.
that also helps, just in terms of savings
Savings,
regardless.
it's saving 20.
Long-term.
Over $20 million.
Over $20
And then you look at the long term,
Right.
that's where you get your $20 million savings.
Savings, yeah. Good.
And we're all about long term, so. And now, keep in mind, the Board of Selectmen have not touched this budget yet.
Understood, understood.
I don't know what the school has done.
The school brought us a number of, what, 2.7 or something like that?
2.84.
2.85 is what the superintendent.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not.
but the Board of Ed hasn't touched it
Hasn't
yet.
gone to the-
They haven't touched it either.
Same thing.
And the superintendent
They're in the
admitted
same
that this
thing.
was perhaps the only budget he's brought in, that he expected significant work to be done on it. I think that's the way he's phrased it, wasn't it?
He's
Pretty close.
expecting reductions.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
So I think everybody's aware that this is a tough year.
Exactly.
Good.
Joe, I would just say for those watching on TV, we're having a little trouble following this. I mean, we've
So
got a
we-
whole bunch, we're having trouble following it. We have a bunch of charts and numbers in front of us, which, so don't feel that,
It's very hard to
yeah, just-
portray, it
But
really is.
don't feel that you've been,
I think the message is that we're all
hidden.
working very hard
yeah,
to
to mitigate that.
Okay,
to make this work.
Let's move along.
Okay, yes, Mr. Gammerman, we'll move on. Thank you.
You have an appointment?
Okay, Sheila, anything else?
Actually, I'd like to see two.
I don't
Say no.
think so.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's get some good news. Economic development.
Contingency, is there a comment to be made?
Contingency is the same as last year.
Contingencies the same, right? That time Brian wants
that was a
something to
fast
say,
report,
talk about it.
Sheila,
Yes, sir?
that was a fast report, the one sentence report.
Morning,
That'll be
Brian.
mine.
It's still morning.
Hello, Brian.
It is still morning.
Just barely.
Okay, I mean, I'll talk quickly. If you look first at the high level, basically proposing a budget that's essentially flat to last year. You know, minor, a couple $100 down, but it's not significant really, and it's been relatively stable. And if you look at the pieces of it, I mean, there's only a few components of the budget. I mean, I am the department, so I left the rest of my staff out. It's just, and just as a reminder, I mean, this is a 24-hour-a-week part-time position, not a member of a union, and don't have all the benefits and all the other discussions that are part in there. So we, obviously, my salary, the commission secretary, I mean, it comes to the EDC boards and commission meetings, is Mitch has proposed a modest increase in an hourly rate for that. And then came down a little bit in our program development, and that's, we co-sponsor with Guilford Savings Bank and the Chamber SCORE meetings here in Guilford, and we have historically done 4, and we're reducing it 2, so we pick up a little bit of change there. And then our business development is a host of various dues for being members of the Connecticut Economic Development Association, Northeast Association, CERC, which is our automated real estate tracking that we use, and it's on the website. You people have any have access to the website, so you know what's available through the realtors. And then, of course, continuing in our REX program. And then last but not least is the tourism activity. That is a portion of my responsibility. So the tourism budget is often done in conjunction predominantly, or particularly with the Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the tourism committee of the Chamber, so some of the things we do together, programs, brochures, literature, to help drive tourism to Guilford. So it's a relatively modest amount, but we try to deploy it in a lot of different ways. You're probably all aware, just that, as Joe mentioned, or Sheila and I started looking, trying to look at the grand list. We're anticipating a modest increase in the grand list. It's not significant. However, if you look at this past year, you all drive around town, Guilford Commons is up, it's running. I don't know for certain, but you know, when the grand list goes into play October 1, the shopping plaza wasn't ready to open until November, so I'm not exactly sure how much of that was captured. I mean, the biggest part of the construction was in place, not all the businesses were, and of course we still have openings there. So we're looking that should continue to grow over the next couple of years as we get more businesses in and pick up more of the personal property tax from that.
Brian, quick question.
Sure.
Was a C of O issued prior to the grand list date? Certificate of occupancy? Is that?
I don't know. I don't know
the
the answer.
trigger. Theoretically, that's the trigger, right?
Yeah, I don't know the
Not
answer.
necessarily.
It would for the property tax, the real estate tax, but it would not. Obviously, we're not going to see any of the personal property taxes. Nobody had anything in those stores.
Well, they were putting in freezers and refrigeration. As far as the legislation did change a couple of years ago where the assessors could assess on a percentage of completion.
Basis, right?
So we don't know until I see the list.
That's what I'm saying. I know there's going to be some pickup, but we don't know how much of it was captured here. I think the majority of it will show up next year,
That's correct.
and hopefully more businesses will be in there as well.
How many businesses could actually go into that plaza? Additional businesses?
There's 6 in there right now. I would think conservatively another 6 to 8 could go in there. As a matter of fact, the DDR folks were at Planning and Zoning last night asking for a couple additional changes to the site plan. So it appears, a salon of some kind is coming into there, and a pet store with some veterinary services is coming in as well. And they indicated the pet store would take about 10,000 feet. So if you look at the way the buildings are laid out, where Michael's, Fresh Market, and Bed Bath & Beyond, that building is full. When you're coming down the other side, there's still 3 openings in there of about 10,000 feet. And it appears the veterinary and pet store is going to take one of those. And then the back building is where they're most flexible on the amount of square footage. So I hedge how many can go in because, for example, they indicated the salon was going to be about 3,000 feet. So some of those spaces are going to be in the 2,500 to 3,000 to 5,000 feet. So it's going to somewhat depend on who the ultimate tenants are. And I'm not including, as you come up the driveway on the left-hand side, it's earmarked for a restaurant and a little bit of retail space. So depending on if that evolves, that could be a few more retailers or it could be a restaurant. So I'm not including that in the 6 to 8. Just as a token, if you haven't heard, Guilford, the town of Guilford was awarded through the Connecticut Economic Resource Center an award for Guilford Commons. There are 11 regions in the state, we being part of the South Central region, and we were recommended through the Connecticut Economic Resource Center for a Celebrate Connecticut Award for that plaza, for what it's doing for Guilford and what it's contributing to the region. It was one of the most significant projects completed, driving employment, bringing products and services in, and needless to say, will have a positive impact on the grand list. So I went up, Joe was out of town, so I went and received the award on behalf of the town. The governor was there and congratulating us along with Commissioner Smith. Of course, you can't keep going further out. The Tractor Supply facility is up and running and doing quite well, I'm told, servicing a lot of our farm community and really a lot of different trades. 66 High Street, under the construction phase right now. So there's one that we probably even lost a little bit in real estate because a couple of buildings were taken down, including the Seville house that was on a side street that they acquired. With that said, there were a lot of construction permits issued as well.
Much on that.
So we will see more out of 66 High Street in the next year and the coming years. And if you've been out on the West End, Guilford Gatehouse West has 5 condominiums, $1 million type condominiums under construction. First one is finished and actively being marketed, and the second one is nearly. So again, in the next balance of this calendar year and in the next year's budget, I think we'll see that. So there's an assortment of other things going on that are optimistic, again, to help drive this year and next year and future years. Another project that's been approved is Goose Lane. The old Wilbur and King Nursery has been approved for condominium development, probably around 40 to 42 units, something like that. So I think we'll see something probably start there before the end of this calendar year, and again, looking out into a future budget. So a lot of different activity going around town, and I'm optimistic. You know, the Whitfield's, while it closed, it's being refurbished. We'll have another restaurant in March. Colors Cafe is undergoing a transition, another restaurant coming in there. The Ritual Spa space is going to be redeveloped as a spa and hair salon. That'll be open by about the middle of calendar year 16. So, you know, the vast majority of the spaces we have in town are gone, or filled. Filled.
Brian, just to pass along a comment, someone, a friend of mine who does not live in Guilford and has been into Guilford recently a couple times to go to dinner, said trying to find a parking space on a Friday or Saturday night downtown is a lot harder than it used to be with the number of successful restaurants that are now in place. And of course, I think Whitfield's was still open at that time. But
yeah.
It seems as if the downtown area has become a restaurant-centric arena, even more so than it had been in the past. And with the addition of one at Colors, how's that parking lot going to work out in the back? Is it going to be big enough?
Well,
That the state is paying for?
Truthfully, we are not getting any additional parking spaces. We're going to get more efficiency, more flow. There's a couple of spaces, truthfully, that are probably undersized, so we're going through and making sure they're all compliant, and particularly with the handicap spaces. So the quick answer is, no, we're going to pick up additional spaces, but it'll be more efficient. The other thing that we probably should do a better job promoting, particularly on the weekends or evenings, is this lot out here. So it requires people to walk across the street, walk across the green, but this lot, which got 60, 70 parking spaces, isn't utilized at all on the weekends. So that's something we probably should try to do a better job promoting and suggesting.
Could you give us an update on the Fontello property?
I was afraid you were going to ask that, because I have reached out but have not been able to connect with the owners of the property. I don't know if I should be encouraged because there's a bulldozer sitting out in front of it that only came in the last couple of days. So I'm hoping that arm extended is going to start hitting that building and watch it tumble. But I am following that one. Unfortunately, Ken, I haven't gotten an answer yet from the developers on the schedule. I mean, it has been approved to be a medical office complex, and that's a direction they're pursuing, but I think they have run into, the ability to get it leased out, and they didn't want to build it as a spec building. They wanted to have a substantial part of it leased before they committed to the construction. I will comment, another site is the Mannix facility at the end, the car lot. U-Haul is coming in and taking over that whole space. The Mannix family has run a U-Haul facility for the past number of years. Well, U-Haul corporate is in the process of acquiring the property, and they intend to remodel the showroom area into a retail center for packing supplies, boxes, and so on, and clean that up. Then the back garage is going to be remodeled to be a self-storage center, and then they have a plan to add a larger building on the right-hand side where we had stored the road shavings. They haven't been to planning and zoning formally yet. In fact, I think they're due at the next planning and zoning meeting, but they've met with us in Town Hall South, the members there, and they are coming to the design review meeting in the next meeting. So that's progressing, and high confidence that's going to come forward. So capitalize another underutilized site. So.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, last one we have is the golf course. Mr. Dunsmore. First of all, good morning.
Good morning. Yesterday.
And,
Let me just say one thing, the stock market's up 171
there you go.
points. Okay. That's the good news.
Congratulations on a good job with the RFP.
Thank you, thank
You
you.
and Pam did a great job on
Right.
that.
It was a lot of fun, a lot of work, talking to a lot of different people, but I'll talk about that in a second, okay?
You have the floor, go ahead.
Okay. The golf, let me just give you a quick summary of this past year. As we're all well aware of, this past year was a difficult year from the winter, as well as the summer being the hottest year, past year, 2015, one of the hottest years. In the beginning of the year, we opened later, about almost 4.5 weeks later because of the snow. We also lost 6 greens, which was common throughout the industry because of the snow. And we had one of the highest water bills ever because we had drought conditions for the first time in many years. So our expenses and the revenues were a little shorter than normal than what we were hoping for. However, at the end of the year, our revenues were up 7.5% and our expenses were 1%. And a major part of that was the water bill, which it was almost $8,000 more. Okay, so overall, we had a good year on the golf course. We increased some rates. We changed some things around. We finished phase 2 of the golf course in redoing the greens, not greens, tee boxes that several needed attention. Matter of fact, during the RFQ tour, the 4 people who came to the question and answer and the show of the golf course all mentioned they could not believe the condition, how great the conditions were, okay, and how the tee boxes and the course was really something to be proud of. And I give this credit to him, Teddy, as well as the commission. So I'm here to give you, to ask you folks if you have any questions about this current year budget. Last year we did about 171, 73, depending on how we look at it in revenue. The only thing I will tell you, when we're going through construction, we do not charge the full price. So I feel if we had no construction going on, this could have been maybe another $10,000 more in revenue, okay? And this is where we're at from this perspective. This past year, and I think I've said for the past 20 years coming here, there's 3 pieces of the budgets that we can't control. One is the water, one is the fertilizing, and you would think with the gas prices going down, okay, and the chemical prices, it has not affected the fertilization, herbicides, and fertilizers. And the last one is that we are running on a ancient equipment. And last year was a good year, but this year we added $5,000 because you never know. And those are the 3 areas that we can never give you a exact answer. The RFP or RFQ, as I said, we have 4 people come out. That, you know, I did a lot of work on that as well as Pam, but I enjoyed the fun, you know, going out and talking to people and trying to get ideas. And Pam and I worked hard on this RFQ. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we'll find out if anybody wants to manage the course and see if it's viable for the town for how they want to do it. One of the key things in the RFQ, and I mentioned this to the folks who came to the meeting on last Wednesday, I believe, or was it Thursday, last week, okay? But the commission wants to have a say in the course as well as the town. When I say commission, I talk in a sense respectfully the town, that we do not want anything to occur like has happened in Hartford when a certain group took over, as well as in Woodbridge. If we see that the course is not being up to par, I don't care if you have a 2-year or 3-year contract, you're out of here, because this is not the way to ruin something that the town has invested a lot of money, a lot of hours, and also to the surrounding parts of the community of the golf course, who in a sense really feel that this is a bonus to them and has increased their homes, okay? But if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, or try to answer them.
So, the course lost $75,000 last year, net, forgetting the transfer money to the town. It cost the town
Right.
$75,000. I
Right.
think in prior years it was 85 or 90.
Right.
And you're suggesting that we can get another 10 in revenues if we don't have maintenance going on, so that would reduce it down to 65.
Correct.
So, my overall question is, are we hoping to get a response wherein somebody's willing to pick this up for nothing, so it doesn't cost the town the 65, or if somebody comes in and says they want a $30,000 subsidy for water use, or, you know, we pay for the water and they pay for everything else, what are we hoping to, I guess from your perspective, I'm not gonna put Joe on the spot, but what do you think would be a good, what would be a
Well, let me
good
use-
proposal right now?
You always try to use a benchmark, okay? And the benchmark that I use, as well as we put together, use an awful lot of their information, was from the town of Woodbridge, okay? Now, the town of Woodbridge pays about $195,000 for Billy Casper, which is the group that won it, to run the golf course, okay? So they pay, they want a token or a management fee up front. So that's what we have to see if what occurs here. They may say they want $100,000, so that's $30,000 more or $35,000 more than what the town costs the town. So that's really the key, okay, is what their fee, and we don't have an idea until tomorrow. We don't have an idea, I mean, only one person, and it's not uncommon, wanted some questions about rounds and the membership types of things and what was the weekly play and all that. So we provided that to everybody through the state regulations. But we really don't know, Ken, until we get a proposal. Like one of the questions were, do we come in and just take it over, okay, and give us the keys and we take it from here? And I told them all, I says, the few of you have done this for other, like the group that from Hartford, who took over the 2 courses up there, is one of the bidders that came down. They know how it operates. And I says, I would advise you to talk to counterparts who've done this before, okay? And one local group has, one local person who runs Twin Lakes, as well as another golf course up in Southbury, was also there as one of the bidders. Okay, not bidders, but people who had some interest in it. So that's really the key question. Is it, do we have to pay the management company more than what we're putting into it? And I think one of the things that has been mentioned over years is that this is a facility for the town. Up until 2008, it made money, it paid for itself, and then there was a downturn in the industry and the economic conditions, okay? And I know you've looked into some golf courses, so you know what I'm talking about. So this is really the key issue is, you know, what is in the proposal, and we take it from there. Did I explain it, Doug?
Yep.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any other questions, I should say?
No, just a question of what are we gonna do with the balance, the unfunded balance that we have in the account?
We talked about
Yeah,
that last night.
it's a challenge, and we're gonna have
Yeah.
to look into that a little bit more.
Probably, I mean, the easiest solution would be to offset the deficit out of fund balance.
Fund balance, that's kind of where I was going.
Yeah.
I know we have the audit books,
The
which
audit
you're gonna
books are
prepare, what you're gonna
in
give to us before we leave
Yeah,
today.
they're here.
I mean,
Any comment
Sheila
from
was
the
gonna
auditors
check
on it?
with Bloom Shapiro. She had some thoughts about stick with the golf course or not. And she had had time to check with them, but.
Okay.
Yeah, we wanna make sure that I don't think that we wanna absorb their fund deficit in one year into the general fund. I wanna see if we can spread that out
Spread that
somehow.
over time.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, particularly when we've got to go back to the rating agencies at least one more time.
Yeah, and I wouldn't suggest doing it until we've made a decision on whether or not we're gonna move this into the operating budget.
That's-
It doesn't make sense
That's
to do
the
it
only
until that
time I would do it.
Exactly.
Would recommend to do it. But-
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Teddy.
Thank you, Ted. Nice job.
Good luck to 'em.
Okay,
Good job.
We'll know tomorrow, too.
yeah, I'll be in here. Well, next door. I think this about concludes our budget presentations, 2 days. I want to thank the Board of Finance for attending. I think
Thank you for having us.
very helpful. And so you don't have
Always,
to ask
it's
me all
always
these,
it's always helpful.
you don't have to ask me all these questions when I come before you. But I want to thank the Finance Department and the
Yep, nice
Selectmen's office and the HR Department for putting the budget books together and all the backup information. Thank you all. And I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye, and we'll see each other on Monday morning.
Ken, you didn't
Take care.
vote.